gentlemen, I'm sure you've been waiting for my review. Here is Impact Wrestling for June 7th. Oh, this was a very well-crafted show. It was. A lot of drama, which in fact is a good thing. Like I've been hoping, Impact has been doing a slow climb up. They're not really trying to do something super dramatic. They're taking the time with it, which it needs to be. And I'm just hoping that when they do the payout, they don't act stupid and then they rush everything. Or worse, they overdo it. But as it stands now, Impact has been doing pretty good. Now let's get to the opening of the show. Zane versus Drago as well as Aerostar. I gotta say this. Out of all four of the people that participated, the person I liked the most, and don't get me wrong, I still love Zema Ion. I believe that, well, I'll give it to you in this respect. He's been around for quite a long time. I'm glad he didn't die from what happened to him when he went to Mexico last year. And I've always thought if they had booked him differently, he would be something more interesting. So I still like Zema Ion. I don't love him. I like him. But if I gotta look by clear performance, who has the best ring work, ability, and the most interesting gimmick, it's Aerostar. Whether he's in Lucha Underground, whether he's in Impact, whether he goes to the WWE, he has the most interesting gimmick with that mask and the best high-flying ring work I've seen in quite a long time. And I know that I could say that for a lot of wrestlers like Desmond Xavier. I could say that easily for him. I could say that for Andrew Everett. I can easily say that for multiple people who've been working in the X Division or WWE in their 205 Live Cruiserweight division. But he, to me, seems like a very unique individual. Whether it translates to somewhere else better, that's going to be a question. It works in Lucha Underground. It works here in Impact. Excuse me. But whatever it is right now, it's working very well. Now, the match itself for the tag title. The reason I botch is this. I do like Andrew Everett. But when I saw him do a twisting flip off of Zema Ion's back, he looked like he might have landed very awkwardly and could have hurt Aerostar. I'm being honest here. I know Aerostar could probably work for the pain and kept going, but the way that he landed awkwardly on his right thigh, that made me a little nervous because I always worry about these short flip twisting. I don't hate the short flip twist or the short flips off of someone off the mat instead of it doing off the top turnbuckle. But sometimes you can't always judge the distance you need to, and sometimes you do it wrong. And that looked like it might have been a bit of a botch. Now mind you, and I'm calling this the Super 720 for Andrew Everett when the match was over and Ian Z had retained. That was a beautiful, beautiful move where he did a 720 and he didn't open up. He just landed his back straight on Aerostar's abdomen and chest. That had to hurt. I don't care how you managed to brace yourself. That had to hurt. So it was a good match with a couple of good spots in it. I'm not a spot person. I like a well-rounded match where there's some aerials, some groundwork, some actual wrestling. I'm that type of person. But I will say the aerial was very good in this match. It was a very good match. Now, I want to get this over with early. When it comes to Madison Rayne and what happened with Tessa and Kyra. I don't know why I keep pronouncing her name Kira. For some reason I'm saying Kyra when it's Kira. But anyway, the vid pack for Madison Rayne. I know people not Madison Rayne fans. I'm not a Madison Rayne fan. I do appreciate that she can wrestle well enough to get someone over and herself. Unless she wants to act like a bitch and wants to try and grab all the spotlight for herself. But you gotta admit, whether it's by design, whether she actually asked to just be a commentator, for the last 3 or 4 years, say about 3 years, She has worked in a commentary with her husband. And she's also worked in the ring. And mostly have put younger talent over. Not all young talent, but most. She has put Rosemary over. She did do something with, what was it? Laura Van Ness. She also did something with Sienna. She has worked with younger talent to help them get over to a certain extent. Not totally, but she has worked with them. I believe she even worked with Havoc at one time. Does anybody remember Havoc? Why doesn't she come back to Impact Wrestling? I know maybe there's a problem with her still. Maybe she's burnt some bridges. Or maybe she just doesn't have an interest. I would rather see Havoc back in Impact Wrestling. I believe she was a very untapped talent. But anyway, was the vid pack good? Yes, it was. It was well done. Does it put over Tessa Blanchard? She's trying to paint her as a whining little bitch. A brat. A pain in the ass. And she's trying to paint herself as someone who's had a baby, who's been away for a while, and we know she's been in the indies, next to being a mom, and has been wanting to do a different role in the back. And to a certain extent, she has made it work that way. Now she's transitioning back to the ring again. Now, if I'm correct, this may help two people. It may help Su Yung, and it's definitely going to help Tessa Blanchard if they book it properly to put Tessa over. As I said before, and a lot of people are not very happy with what I've said, but I just don't feel it from her yet. Maybe it's because I just don't see enough ring work of her. Maybe it's due to the fact she hasn't done a lot of promos. I'm used to seeing live work compared to tape more often. And in this case, I think she would have been better being live than being taped. Sometimes wrestlers can get it done off the cuff. That is sometimes, but not all the time. And the way she does her work, the way she talks, just feels like, it just feels bland. But it could be due to the fact I have not seen enough of her. I didn't watch her in NXT. And I haven't seen her much in the indies. I don't look a lot of indie wrestling all the time. And I barely managed to see NXT with all that I'm doing. Next to doing the wrestling reviews, going to my doctor's appointment, and learning animation, I don't really have a lot of time to watch NXT. So when she was there, I didn't see her. So that might be the major issue for me personally, that I have not seen enough of her. And I know a lot of people say, well, you've seen enough of her. No, I haven't. For me, there's something missing. Something is just not there for me. I just don't really feel it from her yet. But I am glad they did a vid pack with her. Now, what happened with her with Kiera Hogan after the vid pack was, I wasn't happy to see Kiera get her ass handed to her. And it felt forced from Kiera. Like, a part of her may be alright with that, but there are certain people like Naomi in WWE that you can tell when she's feeling it. And she can really make it really seem like something when it's right. But when I saw it with Kiera, nope. I wasn't feeling it from her. It felt forced. It felt like she was not only just reading from a script. She really wasn't comfortable with this. Like, why the fuck do I have to get my ass handed to me by Tessa? Why? Why I gotta do that? That's what I felt with that segment, with her getting her ass handed to her by Tessa Blanchard. Now, was it effective taking away from that? Yes, it was. It just builds what's going on between Tessa and Madison Rayne. That's just me. Let me get this over with when it comes to LAX. One, the video segment when it came to seeing Diamante. I haven't seen that woman in so long. Oh, either she was still hurt or working with another company. I don't care. If she was with Lucha Underground, she was still injured. She was working in the back. I don't care. I'm glad to see her. It was good to see her there. Now this makes things more interesting when it comes to LAX. What she was talking about with Santana and Ortiz, saying, what's going on with K-Dog? How come King has appeared out of nowhere? How come you just taking him like he's just okay? Yeah, he's giving you paper. He's giving you women. He's giving you another chance to try and clean yourself up. But what happened to K-Dog? What happened to Homicide? I don't feel right about this. And guess who comes in? It is King. Now, is Kingston kind of hamming it up a little bit? Yeah, he is. And I don't know if it's working. When he hams it up a little too much, it just seems forced. Now, when he was working with Diamante after the guys had left to get ready for Cult of Lee, I'll say this. When he wasn't hamming it up too much, it was believable. But when he hams it up a little too much, it looks forced. And personally, to me, it didn't like it. Maybe you guys like it. Tell me below. We don't need to talk about the match. We just need to know that LAX won, and Kingston's going to take the credit for that. The question is going to be, when are these guys going to start talking? When are they going to start talking in the ring? This is what I'm waiting for, because this is going to culminate with Santana and Ortiz, even Kingston and Diamante doing something in the ring with a freaking mic and getting it done in front of an audience. You need it sometimes, because if you just keep doing backstage segments or vid packs or what they're doing in a clubhouse, it gets old fast. And to me, it's old. Mind you, it is good to see that Santana and Ortiz did talk, but to me, it just feels old. Now, Eli Drake and the Facts of Life. I love seeing the fact of life. But here, I don't know what it was for me personally. It wasn't that he was bashing the fans. I'm alright with that. It wasn't that it was Austin Aries he was talking about in management and the fans, and then it was Moose. That is where it got wrong for me personally. I just thought maybe if he talked with Brian Cage, that would have been better. Because Brian Cage is going after the X Division title next week from Matt Sydal. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm going to be honest here. As it stands right now, if you're going to go there with Eli Drake calling someone out, I don't know if it was Moose. I can understand if Moose is going to have a match against Austin Aries, and why not have Moose go up against Pentagon Jr., he wins against Pentagon Jr., and then goes after Austin Aries. I'd rather see, and this is just me, I want to see Eli Drake, who has a history with Brian Cage, to get over. Because they had one match, and I don't remember where it was, a Border City Wrestling or Death City Wrestling. I don't remember where. But that was, you could feel that they had chemistry. And that's what I want to see. I don't want to see Moose dealing with Eli again. I just don't. But this is what we got, and you got to deal with what you got. Let's see. Might as well get this over right now. Raichu versus, that wasn't even a match against Brian Cage. It was a squash. It just was a plain squash. Brian Cage wins. You got Matt Sydal coming out saying, I can help you. You got incredible strength, but you do not have inner strength. I can open your inner third eye. Why does he keep doing that? Now, mind you, I personally think that the third eye bit seems a little silly. But Sydal, Matt Sydal, is pushing it, and it's not bad. Personally, for me, the third eye, he could become a more rougher heel than doing the third eye as a guru. I don't say, whatever that means. But it is something he is doing pretty well with. I do agree with it. I would rather see something a little different, though. But that's just me. I'm still alright with it. Once Brian Cage got that little tap on the head, he pretty much gave an F5 to Matt Sydal. Looked a little awkward, but it wasn't bad. I'm alright with it. Now, what else do we have here? Gotta say this. Oh, no. Save it. I gotta save it. Sorry. I gotta save it. I almost made a mistake. Let's see what else we have here. Almost forgot. Sanjay Dutt and Petey Williams. If this is a feud for them, and I'm not saying that Petey Williams is a part of the faction they've been talking about with the X, but to see Petey Williams dealing with Sanjay Dutt in a different situation than the X Division, finally, thank you. I don't care who came up with this, Scott Tamore, Don Collis. I don't care if it's both of you, if it was them who came up with this idea. Thank you. We need more going on with guys from the X Division. These two have history. They know each other. These two are history. They are known in Impact Wrestling. These two should have been given something more than what we had in the last couple of years. Petey Williams should have already either had the X Division title or have held the Grand Championship. He should have held it by now. If you're not going to give him the world title, he should have held the X Division or the Grand Championship. And I would have been fine with that. But you've done nothing. Now that we have something with new management, these guys are getting a feud with a possible story connecting to them. And I'm happy to see that. That's what I've been waiting for. Let's see. Let's see. What else am I forgetting here? I know I'm forgetting something. Josh Matthews and the Skype call with Austin Aries. That just... It didn't feel right. Because you could not see Austin Aries' face. I think if they made it a bit brighter, wherever Austin Aries was, if they had just brought it in with a little more light, it would have been better. But what Austin Aries talked about was great. The way they did the video packages while he was talking was great. I was fine with it. Talking about he's not sure about Moose. But he is sure about when it comes to Eli Drake because he used to be a former champion. But he's not sure Moose's potential to become champion. He just doesn't believe it. So I'm fine with that. I'm alright with it. And that's good to see. I have no problem with it. But I will say that they should have done something better with the lighting when it came to that Skype call. It just looked bad. If I'm forgetting anything, ladies and gentlemen, I easily am sorry. It is time to talk about Tommy's story. Or the Tommy story. Now, when it came to GWN, they did about a 10 to 11 minute video. They showed the match between him and RVD. And when I saw that, I knew they did this on purpose because they want to show how tough Tommy Dreamer was in that particular match where he popped his bone right here. Once he did that frog splash off the top turnbuckle against RVD, he popped his, what was it, his right wrist or his left wrist? I cannot remember. I think it was his right wrist. He popped that sucker out of place, or he broke it. Makes no difference which way it was. It looked like it was popped or broken. And he still had to do that match, and even though he lost the match, it showed how freaking tough he was, and that was done purposely. They want people to understand that Tommy is a good guy, to get him sympathy, and to show that not only he's a badass, but he's a tough badass, a tough SOB on top of that. So now you have the fight in the woods between Eddie, Sammy, and the Kris twins. I know they're not twins, but you know what I mean. One thing I liked about it, they got rid of the Kris Brothers very quickly, no problem. That's one thing I'm glad to see. If they dragged it out with the Kris Brothers too much, that wouldn't have been about Sammy and Eddie. It would not have been about Sammy Callahan. It would not have been about Eddie. It would have felt like it was wrong. Getting rid of them quickly was the wisest thing to do. Then once Sammy and Eddie started fighting, the first thing I felt that was the wisest thing they did was allowing them to curse their, sorry for the language, their fucking shit ass motherfucking asses off. Those were kind of the words they were using. One said, fuck you, motherfucker, you little mother... Whatever they were saying, because they bleeped it out, it felt natural. Like a real fight. WWE will not allow you to curse. And if you do curse, they try to play it off and bleep it out. Or just not bleep it out. They make it quiet. You don't hear no bleep or anything. In this, they bleeped it. But you can still hear them curse. You can still hear fuck, whatever. Which I found to be great. Second, there was blood. We needed blood. And Sammy Callahan provided the blood. That is what was necessary. Next thing, Eddie's own performance and how he acted towards Sammy. Look, I don't believe Eddie's a very good actor. He just isn't. he's just not. Davey Richards is a better actor than Eddie Edwards is. I think he is. He just looks like a mean, short-ass runt. And he just looks like he has an attitude, even though he probably is one of the nicest people on the planet, which I've heard he is. But I will say Eddie looked good. You know what he reminded me of? This is a very old movie. If anyone has seen this, you guys can leave a comment below. The Warriors, 1977. I was about 6 years old. And in fact, they shot the Warriors not far from where I was living, within the same block of 96th Street in Manhattan when I was maybe about 6 years old. In the middle of the night, that was my area. I literally lived next to 96th Street's train station, less than a block away, near Holy Name Church. And that movie where the guy's going, Warriors, come out to play. I may actually have the picture of the guy who did that bit with the beer bottles in his fingers. I probably will get that. But I can tell you, Eddie gave me that vibe of a guy who, at the time, the guy who played that was a good actor, but that was just a very awkward thing that he was trying to do with those bottles, trying to time it. And you can see he was messing up his lines a little bit, but it worked so well in the movie. When it was all over, when I knew Tommy had to drive up, either Tommy or Alyssa had to drive up. In this case, it was both of them. It was a perfect storm right there. That is what we needed. Sammy was gone. Eddie was freaking going out of his mind. Tommy was trying to get him to calm down. Tommy gets the bat to the gut. And Eddie's screaming, going out there, Tommy! No, not Tommy. Sammy! You can see him in my face, screaming for Sammy. And they zoom in and only focus on Eddie. No, not Eddie. Tommy. I'm getting Eddie and Tommy mixed up. But it doesn't really matter. This was actually a well done segment. Most of the show was okay. Other parts were good. But this made the show great. This one fight and the ending of it truly made this Impact a must-see. You must see this Impact. You could probably, I won't say you can forget about the beginning and the middle of the show. All of it is pretty good. But near the end of it is where you need to see. The fight in the woods was the best thing of Impact. The storytelling was good. Seeing the GWN match with Tommy and RVD really set this up for that match. Well, for that match out in the woods. It's basically a match out in the woods. But this is just my point of view. You guys tell me below how you feel about it. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace!